I'm gonna have to watch what I say here.
I'm sticking with that. But like,
you can't actually say that she's a Skywalker. So why are you gonna go and try to push the men out of Star Wars? All right,
Rey Skywalker.
Slow down there. I'm Colin.
And I'm Ryan. Today on Duel of the Fans,
we're talking about the upcoming Star Wars movies.
Okay, so we've had some news.
Yes.
So this is official StarWars.com Disney, news. So this was, I think,
Star Wars Celebration 2023. Was that in December?
I believe so.
Oh man!
So that's where these announcements are coming from, and I think they've just been building from that. So this is not speculation. This is not rumor. This is true. We're getting 3 new Star Wars films.
This is crazy. We've got some good news and some bad news, in my opinion. How do you want to tackle this? You want to go good news first, or bad news first?
Let's jump into this one project at a time. Let's start with
Rey movie. So
we have a new movie based on your favorite character.
Yeah,
in all of Star Wars.
All right.
Well, now Rey's the new chosen one. Rey Skywalker.
Slow down there. Rey Sky. I can't believe you even just said Skywalker.
So does this make it a new Skywalker?
No.
Series?
I thought we were done with the Skywalker saga. Isn't that what they said?
It's Rey Skywalker. She's coming back.
When does this take place?
So this is set 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker.
15 years, okay.
Yes. So what's kind of funny is I feel like this movie is going to be an attempt to be the story of Luke's Jedi Order that we never got.
You think, eh?
Yeah. So
Luke's gone at this point.
And Kathleen Kennedy, there's a lot of people that dislike her. She has gone on record saying, we'll get the quote, that Mark Hamill is probably not going to be involved in this. They're going to stay away from Force ghosts and flashbacks. Which
wasn't that the whole point of the end of Rise of Skywalker?
They're like contradicting.
Is that not what we're like leading into right now with all these Star Wars projects? Force Ghost of Anakin, Force Ghost of Qui-Gon, and then we've got the Force Ghost at the end of 6. We've got that fan edit of Rise of the Skywalker with all the Force Ghosts at the end. Have you seen that?
Yep.
Like, I thought that's what we were going for, this whole Force Ghost thing.
So doesn't it seem strange for her to... And, like, I get that maybe they're holding this back to surprise people, but wouldn't it just hit better with the fans if you said, yeah, hey... Or didn't say anything at all. Like, yeah, we're looking at options of like, of course he'll be there in some capacity. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Force Awakens was, a pivotal movie, but every Star Wars fan can agree when they saw Luke Skywalker, like... In
Mando.
No, in like Force Awakens at the very end, the very last scene, Rey comes over the hill, you see Sky. That's one of the coolest movies. Those scenes in that movie. You're seeing Luke again. You know what I mean? There was like, oh my God, this is
totally different Luke.
But at that point, he wasn't the slum. He looked like a grandmaster. You know what I mean? Like the beard, the mechanical arm. Looked cool. I enjoyed that.
I guess at the end of Force Awakens, we don't know him yet.
Do you know what I mean? They hadn't taken that. They kind of left him ambiguous. But to say outright that he's not going to be in this new one, that's weird.
That's very weird.
And she's gone on to say that essentially she's going to start a new Jedi Order with the text that Luke imparted her and all this stuff. Doesn't Yoda come out and say like these are not interesting things, these are not page turners, like that's not what being a Jedi is? Mm-hmm. But I guess now it is because we're making a new order.
Well, what's this chick's name? All right.
So I believe she's directed Miss Marvel, the TV series, and Face Off, neither which I've seen. So I can't comment on her work at this time, but I am going to make it a point to watch some of her other films so I can understand and appreciate her direction.
Wow, you're so much more generous than I am. I'm going to have to watch what I say here. Her name is Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, and I don't even care if I butcher that. But have you seen the clip of her on stage when she said, I like to make men feel uncomfortable?
I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
So you have just told me that. I hadn't seen that clip, and I'm certainly going to have to watch it. And that's why I'm going to have to take this all in and watch some of her films.
So,
not a good start for her?
Well, not in my opinion. And I know Star Wars has changed, but I saw something online the other day, because after I saw that, I was like, wow, that's super weird. Like, first off, could you imagine if a grown man said that? Like, about women? I like to make women feel uncomfortable. That's super weird, and he would be, like, cut out of Hollywood real quick, in my opinion. But when she says it, it's like a woman empowerment movement, which I'm like, this isn't what Star Wars is about. Why are you turning it into this whole thing that Disney's doubling down on now and not just focusing on storytelling of characters that we love? And what's selling for you right now? What's working for you? Ahsoka worked, Kenobi worked, Mando's working, but then
And all three of those shows had strong female characters.
100% they did.
Bo-Katan,
but it didn't feel like pushed.
Yeah.
Where the sequels felt very pushed. And like, I don't even care. Like, that's not what I'm going for. Like, Ahsoka, she's the lead of the show, and like, it doesn't feel pushed. Padme, Leia, like, there's tons of other awesome. That's not what I'm like. Why is your whole goal and what you're saying and like setting out to do is make men feel uncomfortable? Like, you're not going to go in there and just make a good Star Wars.
I'll agree with you that is a super weird comment.
Who says that?
I haven't seen the clip.
I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
So
and why is Disney promoting that?
Do you think this might affect your position though?
Because I so hope so.
Disney has turned down some other strong director candidates in movies in the past. I mean, Patty Jenkins, that was supposed to direct
Rogue Squadron.
That sounded really cool.
Yep.
And Wonder Woman, the original Wonder Woman, not 87, but the first Wonder Woman, it's a great movie. That's a great superhero movie. So like, that's exciting to think like, okay, that's the movie we're getting. That did not come to fruition. You know, we got the guys from Game of Thrones, DB and Daniel Weiss. I forgot those names mixed up. So they're doing another movie which we've talked about. That's coming out here, and we're going to be talking about some more. You know, they had real potential with Game of Thrones. Like, that was exciting. Okay, you're going to do Star Wars. That's awesome. Then they kind of tanked in the last season of Game of Thrones, and then he's like, goodbye.
Yeah.
You know, this might be a weird opinion. Have you seen the Barbie movie?
Yeah.
The director of that, Greta, she'd be a great one to direct a female-focused race story.
Yeah. Well, okay, so like, I'm glad that like they're putting this lady, this wonderful lady, on the Rey movie, because I don't care about the Rey movie, and I'm probably not going to watch it anyways. So it's like, sure, I'm glad it's that, and not say the Mandalorian movie or any other Star Wars project, because I already don't care about the sequels or Rey as a character or anything like that. So like, I'm not emotionally attached to it. It bugs me that Lucasfilm is promoting this, though. I'm going to make men feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to focus on the story. I'm not going to focus on making a good Star Wars. So what I was going to get at earlier is, like, I saw this online the other day. When Disney bought Star Wars, it was 90-something% viewers were men. Yes, I get that's changed. And that's awesome that more people are enjoying Star Wars, but men are still your main demographic. So why are you going to go and try to push the men out of Star Wars when they're going on stage and saying something like that?
So I wonder if, okay, so we talked about this in the past, that Disney was making too many TV series. They were trying to appeal to too many people, and it just wasn't working. The TV series weren't getting the return they needed. So we've gone to movies again because we think, okay, that's the way to do it. We're going to do 3 movies, so we're not inundated with a ton of Star Wars stuff, you know, like 4 or 5 TV series you all have to follow because this season connects with that. You know what I mean? We're going to do 3 movies, great, awesome. But maybe it's like a profit thing where they're like, okay, we have the male demographic. We need the female demographic. We need those people we need not the men to take their girlfriends to the movies. We need their girlfriends to also want to go to Star Wars now.
Okay, but we have that.
I know.
I'm Star Wars is getting up to.
Sometimes people on the internet take like what I say as like my truth, like opinion. Like, no, I'm talking aloud. I'm starting a discussion. You know, that's what this is. We're having.
So, but I mean, like, that's what we're getting at. And I'm like, doing this just feels like you're
pandering. You're
like attacking your customer base. Okay. That's what it feels like to me. Because I couldn't imagine if the roles were reversed, what would happen then? It'd be like a hate movement, man. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it would be
right. Like, people would say some nasty things about that man, nasty things. But it's okay when it's this lady and she's just gonna ruin this Star Wars project because she wants to make men feel uncomfortable.
Again,
like, you know, the whole Bud Light situation. This is that with Star Wars. They're like, who's our main demographic? let's promote everything that they're not gonna want. Get rid of them.
Sometimes bad attention is good attention. Like bad press.
They're just doubling down on everything that's not working for them. Like they're so in debt right now and everything. And instead of we realize we're doing things wrong. Let's change things up. They're just doubling down and pushing the narrative that they're pushing even harder.
Okay, I can appreciate that. It's funny, we're so hung up on just the director right now. We haven't gotten into like the story beats.
I don't even care about the story, bro. It's Rey.
Well, you know what's funny? I think
Mrs. I can do everything with no training.
We can have Mary Sue's, they can happen. Look at Anakin.
He's the chosen one.
Well, now Rey's the new chosen one. So
I can't believe this.
I enjoyed Daisy Ridley. I really enjoyed her performance. Like, she was probably the most redeeming thing about that role. Like, yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow that like this person was overpowered and ridiculous, but I did enjoy her. I think there was a quote that said essentially that she was excited and there's a great story to tell, but she hadn't seen a script because there isn't one.
Daisy Ridley for this new movie.
Yeah, so again, we'll verify that, but I'm pretty sure there's no script intended right now. There's nothing going on. I think they're just going to kind of go off of maybe Legends New Jedi Order, and they're just going to take Luke and put Rey Skywalker in and hit the same beats. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're probably not going to have another Luke and Leia kids like, Jason and Anakin and what's Jason's brother?
Jaina.
Jason. Thank you. J.J. Abrams. Their names are, I just realized that.
Oh my god.
In Legends, the kids' initials are JJA. J.J. Abrams. It's all connected, man. It's the Star Wars conspiracy.
Like JJ did anything for Star Wars at that point. Up to this point.
So it's it's weird. They're not going in with a story. They're not going in with a vision. I think they're just trying to use what worked in the past, but kind of change characters and maybe adapt it to try and push Rey's character. Like if they came out and said, okay, we're doing a Luke Skywalker movie on the New Jedi Order that takes place between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, you know what I mean?
Oh my god, you just came up with the best Star Wars project ever.
And it could just be one single movie.
Oh my god.
An hour 45 minute to 2 hour and 15 minute. You're gonna use a body double. You're gonna replace. You're gonna cast someone that is a new actor. You know what I mean?
This is what I don't get. So why are we making a Mandalorian movie?
So we'll talk about that one. Another one. It's like, what are the point of these? So in this Rey one, they're trying to continue a Rey story that I feel people don't want to continue.
Yeah.
So we got no script, kind of no desire. This one feels like the weakest of the three announcements. So, with what you've said about the director and kind of her intent and, what we've read about, Kennedy saying, Mark Hamill and Luke are not going to be in this as Force Ghosts, and there's such a great story to tell. And then Daisy Ridley saying, there is a good story to tell, but I haven't seen a script because there isn't one. Like, not a great sign. So I think out of the three movies coming out, I think this is probably the one I am also least excited for, because I know that you are.
Okay. Hear me out. I know you really like the show, right? But Andor, okay? Sure. And like after it came out, you're allowed to like it. But before it comes out, I don't think any Star Wars fans should have been excited for that.
That was the least excited. I think maybe that's why I love it so much.
Because
Zero expectations
is a background character in a crappy Star Wars movie that isn't even relevant in the main six. Yet
it is the main six.
Yet
that's the best of plans.
Yes, okay, but it wasn't in the main six. It was in between the main six. We have 100 million other stories we could tell about key characters in these movies and cover key things that would sell box office tickets like no tomorrow. But instead, we spend, I can't remember, it was in the first video, I think it was $55 million on Andor.
It worked. I think they struck gold with Andor. Andor to me was better than Kenobi, and Kenobi had a ridiculous budget, did it not?
No, it was the other way around.
I did not realize.
Andor had through the roof budget, and Kenobi had no budget. I think maybe Andor was 205 million and Kenobi was 55 million.
Okay, we'll put the numbers up on screen. But to me, Kenobi felt small. Andor did not feel small. Andor
Trash.
at all. Like,
Trash.
there are scenes in Andor where they're out in the wild and it feels like they're outdoors. And in Kenobi, there's an electric fence and they're fighting in a bubble. But yeah, so I think...
So who's James Mangold and what's he doing?
So with this Rey movie, I think this is my least excited one. But not going to hold me hopes. So the other Star Wars project, James Mangold.
Who is it?
So the director of Logan.
Oh, nice. That was such a good movie.
Was that a great movie?
That was such a good movie.
He has also done the latest Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, okay.
Now, I love Indiana Jones. I remember sitting through them when I was getting tattooed. Like, just so much fun.
Yep.
I've heard that the last one was worse than Crystal Skull.
Oh, wow.
So they are very much diminishing returns. Wow. So I never wanted to go like, hey, I have to race out and go see it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's on a watch list of mine, but I'll get around to it. But Logan was a great movie. Oh, dude, probably the best X-Men movie we've seen.
Yeah.
I know we're a Star Wars channel, but
other than Origins.
X-Men Origins?
Yeah.
Is your favorite?
Wolverine. That was such a good movie.
We'll be back on Duel of the Fads where we're discussing Colin's X-Men movie.
Yeah, we're going to do our next video on that.
Yeah. We'll get into Marvel later. I don't know. Logan to me was the best one.
Logan was
really well directed. It was a really well done story. So James Mangold is helming a Star Wars movie. So these 3 movies that are coming out are not necessarily connected to each other, which I think is a smart move. So it's not like we're getting 3 movies that are direct sequels.
Yeah.
I feel like there was not enough time between Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker in theaters.
You think they were rushed?
Yeah. I think we talked about this. The prequels were 3 years, were they not? 99, 2002, 2005?
Yeah.
Something like that. That's a good time to build stuff up.
Yeah.
Where I feel like, I don't know if these, were they 3 years or were they 2 years?
Could have been a year, bro.
Very well could have been. I feel like they were shorter.
I feel like it was 2015, 16, and 17.
Very well could be. So, you need to, if you're giving us the same story and continue it, it needs to breathe. Mm-hmm. If you're giving us 3 different stories, it's okay.
Yeah.
So James Mangold, I believe, is going to take 25,000 years before A New Hope.
Wow.
So we're talking the origins of the Jedi.
Back, yeah.
So essentially where Luke had that temple on Octo or Octu, I think we're going to discover the Jedi that founded this.
Nice.
So this is neat that it doesn't need a connection to the Skywalker. It doesn't need a connection to any character we've ever met. It could have a neat connection like we see one of Yoda's species, or maybe something to do with that. You know
that I'm excited for.
That could be cool. But this could be a neat thing. So what I find interesting is the showrunners for Game of Thrones, they were, I think, given reign to do a Star Wars trilogy, or at least a movie, and they wanted to do the first Jedis and the first lightsabers, and that's really cool. Then they got canned, and I feel like James Mangold right now, that's what he's been given. We want to see the first Force users. We want to see
Finding the Force?
Yes.
Man, so, that would be super cool.
I think he refers to it. He actually uses some really big names in this. When he's kind of referring to it, he wants to make it like a Cecil B. DeMille film. So he wants it to be a biblical, maybe 10 Commandments, with the gun guy, I forget. But anyways, he wants it to be not a Star Wars action flick, but this big kind of epic, biblical, religious, finding of the Force, the creation, you know what I mean? Not essentially
telling a message.
Yeah, rebels versus Imperials. It's going to be the birth of the Force.
Yeah.
A greater, the beauty of it, the power, the strength, whatever it is, the duality of it. That's
if
exciting.
It's done well, it could be done really well.
That's exciting, is it not?
Yeah, that's super exciting. I think that's an amazing idea. That's a great idea. I wonder if he's going to go Logan route with it. More adult oriented.
I think probably. I think because
That'd be a good call.
When we get to this, like at the end of the day, the Force is they train younglings, but the Force is something that I don't know. It's manipulated by older individuals. You
haven't played Fallen Order or Survivor yet, right?
No.
I would really like a Cal movie.
But are those not movies in themselves?
Yeah, but you play the game. I want a movie.
But I mean, what story could the movie tell that the game? You know what I mean? Like, where do you?
Well, we could have it in a game, but I want him in a movie.
Okay, the only thing I know about that game, the second one, and I'm surprised you like it for this reason. Spoiler alert for this game: Cal's master holds her own against Vader.
Yeah, she's trash. I hate her. She's the worst part of the game.
They just butchered your. Look what they did to your baby. Look what they did to your son.
Oh, trust me, I know.
I haven't seen the clip, but I'd read an article about it, and then
the whole time I was playing that scene, I was like, "This is trash. This isn't real. This isn't real."
Because I've seen the clip.
But can you hate a game if 2% of it's bad and 98% of it's friggin' awesome?
Depends. Yeah, there are games that have been ruined by a terrible ending.
But
you don't start because of a
that's almost not even the ending. Like, there's a whole couple missions after that.
But how do you continue knowing that hey?
Well, Vader also just kills her after that.
That's
he doesn't die. He gets a bit of a whooping, but
shouldn't it have been one of the only cool things about Kenobi, the Reva fight, where
oh, bro,
he literally handles her with just
I think I've watched that so much. I think that's one of the best fights in Star Wars.
Just seeing the prowess of his ability and
how perfect it was done.
It felt
and then Vader, when he ripped the saber apart and threw her half, it was like, all right, let's go.
It felt like, you remember in Empire when he pulls Han's blaster?
Yeah.
He literally stops the bolts and just pull
yeah.
That's what that felt like.
Exactly. It's like, you think you're good?
Away, whatever. That's mine.
He's so arrogant. Do you remember how arrogant Anakin was? He's just that. He's being arrogant. He's you think you're good? You're not good. That's why I grabbed Syndrelic by the throat and fought off your buddy. I'm just the best. That's why in the 7th season of Clone Wars, I walked out into the bridge when Kenobi's there's blasters, and Anakin's I saw it, dude. He's just the man. And then Luke's the runner-up. Luke walks out that elevator door in Mando and just wrecks 25 Dark Troopers like they're butter. It's just, man, those Skywalkers are built different, So
does that mean Rey Skywalker?
She's not even real. She's not even a Skywalker. Dude, she's a Rey. She's a Palpatine, apparently. Okay, no, so she's actually a Palpatine.
I'm still going with the theory that when Ben gave himself, he gave his essence to her, he became part of her. So that's not the end of the movie when you see Rey, that's not the Rey that started the movie. That's Dragon Ball Z fusion. That is Rey Skywalker.
No, dude.
That's my theory, and I'm sticking with that.
You can't actually say that she's a Skywalker. There's absolutely.
But it's the two that become one.
Well, then I'm a DiCaprio, and you have to accept that.
I said, okay, I'm using this reference. It's Dragon Ball Z where they fuse and they put their two names together. So she's Rey Skywalker, and if it was if he came back, he'd be Ben Sidious.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
It's so dumb.
Or Ben Palpatine? Yeah, Ben Palpatine. Okay.
I wish they gave, because I like Daisy Ridley too, I wish they just gave her a different role. Man, I wish she just wasn't Rey. I wish they just never did a Rey.
But George Lucas's planned sequel featured a female protagonist, but her name was Kira, I believe.
Yeah, who they used for Solo.
It's a different name, Kira, but
But I think that was the whole. No, that was the whole premise. His thing was Darth Maul was the big bad guy, and then he had an apprentice named Kira, Kira
Listen, I
was working for Maul through Crimson Dawn in Solo.
remember
And
that.
Ray Park was supposed to run this whole thing that they had planned, but then he had to go and do that whole stunt that he did because he's a cool guy, and then we didn't get that. So then Kira got kiboshed, and now we got Ray. She's amazing. She can do anything.
Luke could do anything.
Yeah, and Luke's
He's
awesome.
just this farm boy, and then in the second movie, he's flying lead on Rogue Squadron speeders against, like...
Luke's okay, and this is going to sound so cheap.
He blows up a Death Star. Listen, Luke is my favorite Jedi. I will argue that
Kenobi's your favorite Jedi.
Skywalker Jedi.
Okay.
I mean, like, Luke versus Anakin. You're always Team Anakin. I'm always Team Luke.
Yeah.
And so, like, I will always defend that. But it is kind of funny that they take a friggin' farm kid that flew some little ship and shot rats, and someone's like, hey, you're not a psychopath, and, like, take this machine of war, go to war. He's the one who blows up the Death Star.
Because he has the Force,
kills
bro.
millions of people.
Yeah,
and no one's like,
definitely not a good guy.
Yeah,
Bro, think of all the innocent people on the Death Star.
Are they innocent, though? Who had the bigger... We're going to do this one later, but who had the bigger body count? Anakin or Luke?
Definitely Luke after blowing up 2 Death Stars, bro.
Anakin... Well, I guess droids don't... Do droids have count towards the body count?
Does Vader blow up Alderaan, or does Tarkin blow up Alderaan? Because that's the...
That's...
Because if it's Alderaan takes the cake for 2 Death Stars, but...
Yeah, that's a good point. You know what? We're going to do that as one of our videos.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Who's got the highest kill count.
Yeah.
Body count. But I don't know. The other thing that bothers me about the Rey movie is they've said outright that there is no Adam Driver. He's not going to reprise the role. And, like...
Good for him.
He was great.
Sure, but he was a part of something terrible, so good for him.
He's great, though, but you're getting nothing. So
remember when everyone said Hayden Christensen was the guy who ruined Star Wars?
It's going to be the same thing with Ben Swolo.
Dude, this is so it. They ruined Star Wars, and it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault at all. They got put into that position, and I feel so bad for them. They
ruined Star Wars. I think there was potential there in the sequels that just was...
Yeah, there was so much potential. Go with what the Legends material was. Go with what George originally had planned. Go with anything but what you went with, and giving... First of all, they had no plan. They didn't know who Rey was. For 7 or 8.
They had no idea who anyone was.
And then 9, they were like,
Finn was supposed to be Force sensitive.
Spit on this piece of paper, rub it around, there's our story. Figure it out.
Finn was supposed to be Force sensitive. That was neat. They could have done a lot more with Poe, like literally had him step into a leadership role more so than he was.
He was literally just a Kmart Han Solo. Like, he could not have been more of a ripoff of Han Solo.
I cannot wait till we rewatch these movies.
And, like, they're all just a ripoff of the other character. Like, Rey's a ripoff of Luke. Poe's a ripoff of Han.
If we want to talk ripoffs, side note, we should probably do a review of Rebel Moon.
What's that?
The Zack Snyder. He wanted to create a Star Wars movie, and George Lucas was like, no, or Disney was like, no, we're good. You go do your stuff.
Really?
He does dark, like really gritty, like takes. So yeah, one night we'll watch Rebel Moon. If you think that Force Awakens reused some ideas, we'll go watch Rebel Moon. Like, it's the same cast.
Have you seen it?
I have started it several times. It's not overly long, but it's long. It's got some glaring issues, but like I haven't finished it. I've watched most of it. But like there are some really heavy things that you're like, this is directly Star Wars. The robot is English, like C-3PO.
Nice.
And I know that sounds like so many, but like
yeah. He's like, screw you, Star Wars.
He could have voiced anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we should also... Spoiler alert for a movie that's not Star Wars related. One of the main characters, her father is the baddie.
Nice.
Big surprise. You know what I mean? Like, at least Star Wars rated 2 movies.
That's great.
So, I don't know. The Rey movie, I have very little excitement for. I'm like just kind of worried about. We're gonna
live or watch it, and we'll have like a camera on me and camera on you. You'll be like, yeah, and I'll be like, nah, this is terrible.
We'll do a review right after. We'll settle in the car and let the emotions. But the James Mangold, this Force one that's set so far ahead of New Hope, I feel like there's a lot of potential, and I am excited for it because you can tell a neat story that
Yeah.
isn't a Star Wars that's like a Star Discovery. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like something that's like visually beautiful and stunning and like powerful and emotional and like all these things without like trying to sell toys.
Yeah.
You know, create character. Hey, this is, you know what I mean? So that brings us to our third and final movie. So with these
Before we get there, I think this one, the James Mangold, could be really, really good if he's allowed to be creative with it and do a Logan style. Get real into it.
Yeah.
Cater to the adults. Cater to the people that can
Mhm.
actually understand a deep story and give us a nice, good, deep story. Like Logan made me feel things.
Yeah.
That whole movie, you're like, oh, bro, wow, oh my God, oh wow, look,
Charles Xavier has
Like-
died in the movies in the past, and you're like, whatever.
dude, the
And when he
whole
dies in
movie
this, you're
was
like,
so like an emotional roller coaster. You know, you're like on the edge of your seat, and then you're like, oh, and then you're sad, and then you're like, what's gonna happen?
that's what I mean.
And then,
So,
like,
so this James Mangold doesn't need to be part of a sequel, trilogy. Doesn't need to be. It should be one
Yeah,
movie, just
that's
a standalone, beautiful story of like what the Force really is.
yeah.
It
So I think this
binds
one
us.
has a lot of potential.
Yeah,
Where the Rey movie is
So,
doomed already
I believe with the Rey one that they're starting filming in April.
with no
um,
script.
Yeah, so
Great
starting
job.
soon in April of 2024. James Mangold, I don't know if they've given a date yet on that. So this is from StarWars.com. Yeah, I don't think there's a date yet on their filming.
So what's our third movie we're looking at?
So I was gonna say, with that not having a date, that almost excites me because it's like, well, we're not doing this until we're sure what we're doing. You know what I mean? We're not gonna film this until we know this is perfect. It feels like the Rey movie. They're literally like, no, we have to film this. We don't know what we're doing. We are screwed. We just got to. We got to film it. So that brings us to the third movie. So we have a movie that is a sequel to something people don't want or didn't need. We have a movie that is unconnected to the characters but to the story. And then we have a third movie that is a direct sequel and a culmination of all the TV series.
Yes, the Mandalorian one.
So The Mandalorian and Grogu.
So, do you think this is going to be our end game?
For what? Mando?
So, you know how like Star Wars is definitely doing the end game way of things. Like all these shows are going to lead up to one
So
big
do we call
movie.
that like the Thanos, like the Marvel, like
yeah, the end game thing.
Oh, okay. You mean yes? I'm sorry. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it's Thrawn's Thanos in my eyes, or maybe even
You mean-
Abeloth. If we're going that way with, okay, did you see that picture that just got released? The Ahsoka season 2 picture on the
Is it-
drawing board.
No, is it actually?
It's the hand, and then it's Ahsoka and Sabine on the hand where Balin was standing. Bro! Which means Ahsoka and Sabine are going after Balin, and Balin went to go find the father, daughter, and the son.
Is that
or
what they're going to
Abeloth.
be? That Sabine's the daughter.
No, I think Anakin's... Screw Sabine. Sabine ain't nothing.
Why is she
just-
there?
She's going to die.
Okay, but
She's
so
canon
so,
fodder.
okay. So you're saying that this movie, who is directed by John Favreau, right out the gate, yeah, knocked this one out of the park.
Yep.
Disney. The James Mangold director, that's good. The John Favreau, mwah.
Yeah.
People forget that the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe started essentially with two movies, Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. Iron Man 1 was amazing.
Yeah.
Started the whole thing. Iron Man 2 was a weaker kind of... It was a weaker movie. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it started to like introduce things like Black Widow and War Machine. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that kind of built.
Well, and then,
That was all John Favreau.
do you remember the Edward Norton Hulk?
Had
Tony Stark come in at
Yeah.
the end and say we're putting together the team.
But John Favreau was the director of Iron Man 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So it's like when
Well, he directed all of that, like a lot of it.
so when he has free reign, so Iron Man 1, he had great movie.
Mhm.
Iron Man 2, the studio started to kind of put controls on him. So the movie Chef with him is about Iron Man 2. It's about his experience filming with Disney.
Oh, really?
It's really cool. Yeah, it's about like not verbatim, but a chef that can't do what he wants.
Mm.
And then like, okay, I'm going to go do what I want. And it's so much better. And it's not what you think is great, but it's what I do, and
Yeah.
it's great for what it is. So my point in that is that Iron Man 1 was great because he had full control. Iron Man 2 was not as good because there was a lot of studio interference. If you just let him direct this,
Mm-hmm.
Just let him be. It's going to be great.
Well, look what he did with Marvel, right? Like his whole plan with the Iron Man all the way to Endgame, genius. And when did we start getting all these shows that were like Marvel? Right when Mandalorian came out and Favreau got signed on to Star Wars. So I think he's doing the exact same thing he's doing with Endgame and building up to some awesome movie. Do you think this Mandalorian movie's that, or do you think that it might be like a trilogy?
So,
and then the end will, like, we've got Age of Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame, but Star Wars.
okay, so wasn't there supposed to be, also Ahsoka Season 2 was announced.
Mm-hmm.
But before it was announced, we knew Filoni was doing a movie, Heir to the Empire. Right?
Yeah.
Is this the Heir to the Empire movie?
Maybe. That's what I'm
Because
getting at.
Filoni is... So Dave Filoni is the one directing all this. Jon Favreau is literally directing the movie. Dave Filoni is directing the whole kind of behind the scenes.
He's the Russo brothers of the...
he's the Kevin Feige, what they want to say.
Kevin Feige, yes.
Yeah, so he's the over... Like, you know what I mean? He's the guy now.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'm conflicted on. Because, like, I don't know if this comes across in our review of it. I wasn't a big fan of the Ahsoka series.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was too much kind of fan service just to be fan service, and he was just like, hey, remember this? You remember? Like, he was doing J.J. Abrams stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like, we know what Star Wars is. It's good. You can tell good stories. You can also tell, like, some really rough stuff. So Ahsoka didn't really...
Well, without the filler, like, the show would have been awesome.
The show was all filler.
No, it wasn't.
What happened in Ahsoka series?
So
from beginning to end, what changes in the universe?
We find the... What do you mean what change? Thrawn's back, bro.
Thrawn comes back, and Ahsoka's out
gone.
of the universe. How many episodes is that show?
It's 8.
How long are those episodes?
45 minutes apiece.
That is 2 Star Wars movies worth
That's what I'm saying. If you take out the filler, it's one movie, and it's mint. Ahsoka finds the orb. Elsbeth is doing her thing, gathering her people.
She escapes.
We don't need that stupid on the junkyard planet episode. That was dumb. Then we go Ahsoka chasing Elsbeth with Sabine. I don't even care about Sabine. We don't even need Sabine. Then Baylan, like, I love the Baylan and Shin. We can do the whole Baylan and Shin on that forest planet fighting Ahsoka. Ahsoka can get beat, have her whole world between. Like, I think that was all awesome. And then they get away. Ahsoka chases them. Gets on the Purgle, goes find them, meets up with Ezra. Thrawn beats them. They get out. Thrawn's in the new galaxy. Boom, perfect setup for a new...
And I think that's why Disney is now doing movies and not TV shows, because they're realizing the TV series and shows, there's too much filler. It's just too much story. It's too much to film and to tell in that compact environment. I wasn't a huge fan of Ahsoka Season 1, so Ahsoka Season 2 is a direct sequel of that. That's where that story's taking us. So the Mando and Grogu movie isn't going to have anything Ahsoka related.
But I think it's all one big... They're going to be one big party to defeat the Empire. How are they going to connect into it? What do you mean? Ahsoka already knows Mando.
But so what's the threat?
Is Thrawn's the threat? Thrawn's the threat.
Or is there going to be a bigger threat?
There could be, but I think Thrawn's the threat.
Because is Grogu and Mando going to set up the bigger threat?
What's stopping Thrawn from just going and bombing Coruscant?
The New Republic fleet?
Yeah, but they're nothing now.
The New Republic has 3 cruisers, 3 of the most advanced star cruisers at this point, and he's flying something that is literally duct tape and cardboard fucking puttering through the galaxy.
No, it's not.
And it's an Imperial 1 class Star Destroyer.
It's been rebuilt with gold, bro. He's flexing on them.
Gold is not a strong thing. Gold is malleable, flexible.
Okay, what do we know about Thrawn? He's a genius, right?
But now he's not...
Thrawn...
He's got nothing.
He's got his brain. He's going to outsmart these...
Again, we talked about this in the Ahsoka series. He does not have a brain.
Okay, not right now if Disney doesn't do it right, but if Disney did it right, Thrawn should be able to outsmart the whole New Republic and make them blow up Coruscant. That's Thrawn that we know. Like, that's...
Are we going to get that, though?
Hopefully.
I wonder if the Grogu
I blame
Mando
Rebels
story,
for the Thrawn that we have now.
I wonder if the Grogu and Mando story is going to be the Imperial remnants versus the New Republic, and they're just beating the crap out of each other, but it turns out that there's a bigger enemy.
Abeloth?
I know it's so hard to think that it could happen. Why not the Yuzan Vong?
I would
Why
love
not
that.
something like that? Why not the Grisk?
But
we
if
don't,
it's
we
the
know
Yuzang
nothing about
Vong,
the Grisk.
if it's the Yuzang Vong, then I want everybody to gather together. I want Mando, I want Ahsoka, I want Luke, I want the whole Jedi Order, I want everybody to gather together to take out Thrawn. That's what I want.
But I want to see
Or
where
the Yuzang Vong.
Okay, so you proved my point here. I want it to be where we get introduced to the Yuzan Vong or the Grisk, because we don't know anything about the Grisk, and that's like what the, I guess, canon version of the Yuzan Vong are now. So you could say that. It's this otherworldly invasion, because we've touched that you can jump between galaxies now. Massive galaxy invasion. The New Republic and Imperial Remnant are just battered at this point from fighting each other. All of a sudden, this thing shows up, and Thrawn becomes this tactical genius and the hero who unites everyone. He's the one who mounts the defense against the Grisk, because he has experience with them.
Yeah.
He runs point on this, and all our heroes are fighting alongside him. No one trusts him, no one likes it, but like, hey, this is working out. And right at the very end of the whole thing, when he wins, guess what?
He screws them all over.
Absolutely.
That's such a great idea.
That's what
I love
Thrawn is.
that.
He beats somebody. Hey, yeah, now I control the Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I created a super weapon of the New Republic, and it's mine.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great idea.
I'm turning it on everything.
So that's why I think like it could
and
be
then
like
Heir to the Empire is then
part 2. And then we have a part 3 where Luke meets Mara Jade and has kids, and Han and Leia, and then we retcon the sequels, and then we go into this whole awesome 20 years of Star Wars movies based on old Legends content.
Listen,
and it's going to be amazing, and we're going to have the best time as Star Wars fans.
I am the first to be like, one of our theories for the Ahsoka series, our pre-show theories, was that they were going to involve the world between worlds and changing the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I think Marvel's kind of realized, going back to Marvel here, where like timelines and multiverses kind of get confusing for the average viewer. So how do you get rid of the sequel series? Like, how do you... Well, now they're releasing a new Rey movie, so they're absolutely not changing the sequel series. So it's like you have a very short window, and that's, again, my biggest gripe with Force Awakens. That happens way too soon after everything. Because you have a really short window of whatever it is, 20 years?
Probably.
How old is Ben Solo? 20?
Dude, we don't know. I don't know. I don't care.
He's in his mid-20s or something, early 20s. So he is literally...
Say it's 25 years.
He is born right after, like, he is made... he is created on Endor with, Han and Leia. And 20 years later, he's born and whatever. He's writing the First Order. Is 20 years enough time to have this massive... like Grisk conflict?
That's why we just retcon the sequels. So I'm going to pitch this now. I've been thinking this forever. This video is going to blow up because of this one statement I'm about to say. If every Star Wars fan donates like $100, and then we take a vote, and we get one person that is dedicated to run Star Wars, and all Star Wars projects going forward are done by a vote, we're going to start to GoFundMe, and you just go and donate. And once we have like $100 billion, because if we all send $100, then we can buy Star Wars from Disney and take it back and do our own thing. So
yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to run Star Wars.
We just need Mr. Beast level views on this video, and everybody donate $100, and we're buying back Star Wars.
See, my thing is,
and the sequels are just going to disappear.
Fans don't know what they want. I'm saying this as
they know better than Disney.
Because sometimes when we have something that we want, it's just, okay, could have been better. But sometimes it's really cool when we get something that we weren't expecting.
We take those YouTubers that know what they're doing.
We don't know what we want. I know what I want.
We take those YouTubers that know what they're doing and vote them in to make these projects. SC36 Reimagined, hello there. Anybody that's made a damn good Star Wars fan film, give them the budget Disney has and vote on what the project is. Boom, we're done. This could be the best Star Wars content ever.
I did enjoy Hello There's Battle of the Heroes, just in case anyone out there was wondering.
What do you say, haterade?
Yeah, I am not drinking my own haterade. I quite enjoyed it. I just appreciated the movie more.
So, yeah, those are the 3 upcoming Star Wars movies. We've got one that's going to be terrible, one that could be great, and then the Mando one, which should be awesome. Thoughts before we wrap her up?
Yeah,
here?
it's funny. I think we talked at least about the Mando. I'm indifferent to it. I think Mando season 3 wasn't as strong as the other ones.
Yeah.
What do you do in this? You cannot kill Mando. You cannot kill Grogu. So is this just a movie to tie up Mando Book of Boba Fett into, you know what I mean? And then we're going to get another Mando season 4? Or is this a movie that takes our characters to the big screen and leaves them there?
Yeah.
And now Mando becomes part of the Star Wars movie universe, and that, like, yeah, he's an heir to the Empire and he's a major character. And Grogu plays a massive role. You know what I mean?
100%.
So our final thoughts are: we think the Rey movie is going to be based on New Jedi Order. So it's her building the temple. It's going to be
her making men feel uncomfortable.
The James Mangold is going to be my first Force. So 25 like
Yep.
Or I should have said Planet Force, like Planet Earth.
Yeah.
Like a documentary like that, which I'm excited for.
And
Mando it doesn't need to connect to anything. And then you have a Mando movie that has to connect to everything.
Yeah.
It has to even connect to Rey's movie.
It's just going to be Mando sitting in his hut with Grogu watching the news. Like, oh, Ahsoka's gone. Thrawn's back.
What was he doing during the sequel series?
Boba's out there killing people again? Man.
Was Mando's ship, maybe one of the viewers can tell us, was Mando's ship there in the final scene of Rise of Skywalker? When all the ships come out of hyperspace?
No. I've watched so many videos on that. It's not.
Are you sure there could be a Razor Crest in there?
There's not.
There could be, no, because Razor Crest gets destroyed. You're right. Maybe the N1 fighter's there.
No.
Or maybe they give him a ship later that ends up being there, so they retcon it. So like, yeah, he was there at the battle.
Maybe.
He was at the battle of Mexico.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, thanks for joining us on Duel of the Fans. We'd love to hear your opinions on the new upcoming movies. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What are you most excited for? What are you least excited for? What do you want to see? So
subscribe and check out the other videos that are about to pop up on the screen.
Until then,
May the Force be with you.